Hey everyone, welcome to our new video about the domains bacteria and archaea. These two domains then further break down into kingdoms of eubacteria and archaea bacteria. So eubacteria kingdom is part of the bacteria domain and the archaea bacteria kingdom is part of the archaea domain. Now these are two domains that we have not talked as much about, or we actually in the world of science don't know as much about as we know about the other kingdoms like animal, plant, protists, and fungus because bacteria and archaea are both prokaryotic. They are very small, simple, single celled organisms, and they are harder to study because they are so small and simple. We actually have been able to learn more about them nowadays using scanning electron microscopes and DNA technology. But key idea here, they are both prokaryotic. That means they are simple cells. They do not have nucleus or vacuoles or lysosomes or Golgi body or endoplasmic reticulum or other complex cell structures. They are actually basically just a cell wall, cell membrane, then some cytoplasm, gel-like substance with DNA and ribosomes in it. They don't have any of the other complex organelles that our eukaryotic cells have, and they're also very small. So bacteria and archaea are both prokaryotic. But there are some differences between bacteria and archaea that we've learned about more in the recent years that we've been studying these types of organisms. Now, bacteria, which is the kingdom eubacteria, they have special types of cell walls that contain the compound peptidoglycan. That is different from the archaea or archaea bacteria because archaea bacteria do not have peptidoglycan material in their cell walls. So when scientists are looking at prokaryotic cells under a scanning electron microscope, they can usually tell if it's bacteria or archaea because of the peptidoglycan in bacteria, not in archaea. If you're doing DNA analysis on bacteria and archaea, you will see a difference. In bacteria, the DNA is actually not very similar to eukaryotic organisms like us. So bacteria are not that similar to our DNA, but archaea actually have DNA that is more similar to eukaryotic organisms like us. For that reason, scientists have started to believe that maybe bacteria and archaea branched off from each other into separate clades, and that possibly eukaryotic organisms evolved from archaea because they have DNA that is more similar between archaea and eukaryotic organisms. The last big difference is that we tend to notice a lot is that bacteria, like the eubacteria kingdom, tend to cause a lot of human diseases, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. Whereas archaea do not cause human diseases usually, but they do have a unique information about them that they do live in extreme environments. Because they love to live in extreme environments, we call them extremophiles. Let's talk a little bit more about bacteria. So we've already talked about bacteria when we talked about germ theory, but this is just a refresher. Bacteria cause a lot of human diseases. They come in different shapes, and we can kind of see that in some of these pictures. So strep throat are a round shape. They are the coccus type of bacteria. Lyme disease is a spiral shape. It's the Spirillus type of bacteria. And anthrax causes a bad respiratory disease, and that's the Bacillus type of bacteria. So bacteria cause human diseases. Their DNA is not like us, but they do have peptidoglycan in their cell walls. Next up, let's review archaea. So archaea love extreme environments. For that reason, we call them extremophiles. Remember, their DNA is similar to ours, and also they do not have peptidoglycan in their cell walls. So archaea come in different varieties. There are halophiles. Halo comes from the word halide, which is salts. So halophiles love salty conditions like the Dead Sea. Thermophiles love hot conditions like volcanoes, and methanogens love conditions where there is a lot of methane gas, which is produced during digestion. So methanogens can live in cow digestive systems or cow guts, and they actually feed on and break down the methane that cows produce as they break down their foods. And you might have heard of methane. It's kind of a stinky gas that can be passed. So archaea live in extreme environments, like really salty, really hot, or ones that contain certain like kind of noxious chemicals like methane. Let's do some review. Which kind of cells do bacteria and archaea have? They have prokaryotic cells that are very simple. Which organisms often infect humans? That's bacteria. Which organisms have peptidoglycan in their cell walls? Again, that's bacteria. Which organisms are often extremophiles, living in extreme places? Those are archaea. And which organisms are more similar to eukaryotes based on their DNA? Again, that's archaea. Thanks so much for listening.